Cool. Rhianon Gelsomino. How's it going?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. By the way, how often is it that people butcher your name? Tell me, please, because I'm a big victim of the subject.
So my first name, Rhianon. My second name, Gelsomino. So Gelsomino is usually what they butcher the most. But in America, I just tell people Rhi because Rhi's easy. And then I don't have the issue. Then I don't have the issue of Rhiannon. That's a strange name. So Rhi's good.
Right, yeah. So is that like an Aussie name? Is it common out there?
No, Rhiannon comes from this Fleetwood Mac song.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we get the background on that?
1979, Fleetwood Mac, Rhiannon. Very popular name, but people don't even realize that she's singing Rhiannon. So it's quite funny when I say to people.
Yeah. We usually just know the melody and we act like we know the lyrics, but there you go. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So you already had a hard to pronounce name to begin with, and then you married Alex, and he's like, here's another last name for you too.
Exactly. Growing up, I was Rhiannon Reeves, and Rhiannon Reeves was very easy. And then obviously marrying Alex Gelsomino is a tough one.
Get it a little bit more complicated. So make it hard at the beginning through the last name. Well, cool. So you've told the story of listening to you on RCS Podcast, which is great for anybody that wants to catch any more information about Rhi. But you told the story there of how you got into this, and you've told it in detail. So people that want to listen to that part, I highly recommend going and checking that out. Rain City Podcast. It's a great show, and you guys did a good job covering that. But I'm really interested in the part where you and all the whacks in the family are driving whatever cars and having a good old time, just motorsport family. And there's a shift where you decide, from high speed, going crazy, to doing what I'm most afraid of, which is sitting in the passenger seat. So what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a dad that's a rally driver and two brothers that are rally drivers, they decide at some stage someone needs to be a co-driver in the family. So I'm the oldest of four kids and highly competitive. I was a PE teacher and did many, many different sports, and I love sport. And I think that my dad thought that, even though I was, doing some karting and some autocross, which in Australia autocross is actually pretty cool. It's like a rally sprint in a way. It's like a 2-kilometer gravel stage. I had a Datsun 1600, and then I upgraded to a Subaru RS, which is non-turbo. And you just, you go flat out, you set your time, and you have 6 runs for the day, and your 3 best get added together. So I, was doing that, and yeah, exactly. Great fun. I was doing that. I wasn't as good as my dad and brothers. I did my best. I'd win the ladies' cup.
Right.
And at that point, I think the boys and dad thought that, what about if I went the co-driver way? I'm only little. I'm 5'3" and 60 kilos or so, and so lightweight. And so I started training with my dad's co-drivers. So for me, it was still something that I could be really competitive in, and I could also do it with my family. So I thought, let's go for it.
You actually co-drove for your brother for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I've co-driven for both of my brothers. The brother that is 2 years younger than me, Nathan, I did my first ever rally with him. And then as soon as my youngest brother, he turned 18, I was able to get in the car with him. So prior to that, he had dad's co-driver sitting with him when he was 17, because the rule in Australia was they granted him permission to race at 17 years of age, but he had to have a co-driver with 5 years experience and all these sort of things. So Dad virtually told his co-driver he had to go co-drive for his 17-year-old son. So poor Robin, that was a baptism of fire, jumping in with this young, very talented 17-year-old. So yeah, my brother turned 18 in August, and we did our first rally together in September of that year in 2006. But Nathan and I had started in 2005 together. I only have done maybe 5 rallies with Nathan. We're closer in age, so we clash a little bit in the car, to be honest.
Do what I'm telling you.
Yeah. But I'm 8 years older than Brendan, my youngest brother. So Brendo and I have done, I think it's 82 rallies together or something in 16 different countries or something crazy like that. So he's definitely the driver I've worked with the most in my career. Like about half of my rallies or a little bit under that have been with him.
That's cool. Which one was it that you got stuck with and ended up on the back of the tow truck inside the car? Which brother was that?
Yeah, that was with Brendo in Sardinia in Italy. So we were doing the Junior World Rally Championship and we'd worked our way up. I can't remember what we were coming, but we had a good position and we got to the start of one of the stages and just before we checked into the control, our car broke down and we did everything we could. Brennan's pretty good mechanic. He can fix most of the things if we ever have any problems. So right. He was trying to fix it and we couldn't. And so what happened was they sent out a tow truck 180 kilometers. I'm not sure what that is in miles, but a lot, all the way out to the stage. M Sport did. And thinking that I guess we would go in the front of the tow truck with the guys. But these two Italian truck drivers decided that wasn't happening and they made us sit in our car, our little R2, on the back of the tow truck for 180 kilometers back to the service park. It was one of the most insane things I've ever experienced. We put our race belts on. We nearly put our helmets on. It was just, I can't even explain it.
Yeah, these truck drivers were like, I don't think we're going to share this cabin with you for another 100 miles or so.
And they couldn't speak English. We couldn't speak Italian. So they're
so the whole thing was just mimed out.
Yeah. And we're like, do they mean we have to go in the truck? You know, and we pull into service and all of the like M Sport guys are looking at us like, what are you two doing? Like, and
they were probably upset.
Yeah, we explained we weren't allowed to sit in the trucks. So
yeah, it's not like you were just doing it for shits and giggles.
Definitely not.
Not for that length anyway. So
no, exactly.
From that to recently, winning the ARA with Travis, would you say that where does that rank in your level of experiences in the field that you've chosen? I mean, it's a crazy motorsport, one of the craziest in my opinion, and the winning the ARA, the Dirtfish, it's a big deal. Where would you say it ranks for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, winning the national championship here in America when I'm now an American citizen, it was winning my home national championship, and I'd always dreamt of that. My brother Brennan and I have come very close in winning the Australian Rally Championship on a few occasions. In 2014, we got to the last round and from memory, we were leading by a point. In the last round, we had brake failures and different things happened and we lost the championship that year. And then 2016 in the Australian Championship, we won 3 of the rounds, but we weren't registered for points. You had to pay a registration fee, which was, I think, $3,000 and we hadn't bothered. So then that threw out, silly of us. We were like, we won't win any. Yeah, we win 3. And so, I've won two-wheel drive championships, the American two-wheel drive championship with my brother in 2013 and with Ryan Millen in 2017. But obviously that doesn't compare to winning overall. So, highlights of my career have obviously been winning this championship is definitely right up there and also competing in the Junior World Championship with my brother. So, this has been an incredible year for me, that's for sure. That's
awesome. And you somehow managed to do it with, accounting a flipping of a car on the road, on the trails during a race, and somehow still made it in time. How'd you guys manage that? I don't think everybody counts the flip a car time credit to themselves.
Yeah, we had a really good start to the year. When I got in the car with Travis, I brought a lot of new ideas. I also have a training business, which is Oz Rally Pro. So I train co-drivers and drivers in the sport. I come from a teaching background, so training people and developing the sport has always been a priority to me. So when I got in the car with Travis last year, the first rally we did together was Ojibwe and we won straight away. And I brought a lot of new ideas as far as these pace notes and using video analysis to improve our performance. So at the start of this year, I went to his house in January and we already had the information for the first 2 events. So we're able to, get old notes he had, do video work on them. And we arrived to Snowdrift the first round, really prepared. So we won Snowdrift by a minute. We head to the second round, 100 Acre Wood. We win that one as well. And then we win the third round, which is Olympus. So the preparation and homework meant we won the first 3 rounds in a row. And that definitely set us up for a season, where there was 9 rounds in the championship and 6 counts. So unfortunately, one of the rounds was thrown out. They had problems with permits. So it brought it back to 8 rounds and 6 counting. But it still meant that, to already have 3 wins, we got a really good start. So then we went off to Ohio. We got second in Ohio, so more good championship points. And then New England Forest Rally, where we flipped, it was a bit of a silly mistake, to be honest. We only had 4 miles left in the rally. We had a 9-second lead.
There's the infamous bummer right after that.
Yeah. That was embarrassing. A 9-second lead, and when you have a 9-second lead and 4 miles to go, it might seem very little, but in rally, that's 2 seconds a mile. And so, we threw it away, and it was a silly mistake running wide on a corner. Travis and I were both bummed we were fine. In the crash, I sound like a bit of an idiot. Oh no! But it's more like, oh no, I can't believe this is happening. What are you kidding me? We have 4 miles to go. We have a 9-second lead and we're about to crash.
You couldn't care less that, you guys are rolling. It's just like, I can't believe we're throwing this great time away,
And I think he says we got it. I don't know how he thought
he thought he was going to land on the... That's perfect. Travis Pastrana for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were already flipped once, and he says we got it, and he thinks we're landing on our, Colin McRae style. I think he thought it was, we're fine, Ree. We're going to land on our wheels and take off. And I'm thinking, I don't know if we are okay, but anyway, I know we're not okay, but. Yeah, so that was a bummer, but the car was a bit of a mess. The poor team had to do a fair bit of work in 3 weeks they had to get it ready for Ojibwe. So we felt bad about that, but then, hey, we went to Ojibwe, car was perfect, and we won that one as well. So that secured the title for us, even though, we only had 5 rounds in and 6 count. We had enough points, so that was awesome.
That is cool that you guys managed to flip a car and still have enough time to win the whole thing overall. So that's an achievement right there. And I think if you're gonna win anything with Travis, it's gonna be that way. You know what I mean? Flip a car. I hope you guys don't flip a car next week.
There has to be some drama involved, doesn't there?
Exactly. And right after that, I saw they made you do a shoey. I was like, really? That's what they're gonna let that lady do? So.
I still can't believe that. I mean, he always, if people follow Travis, they'd see he's been doing a shoey after all the wins that we've had. He actually did a shoey the other day when he comes second to Scott Speed in the rallycross. I'm like, you don't do a shoey for second. You're a loser. You're the first loser. Come on,
exactly.
But yeah, so silly me. We were out for dinner. I think it was on the Monday of the event. Yeah. And at that point, our teammate hadn't crashed at testing, so he was still in the championship fight. Barry McKenna was still supposed to be competing, and Ken and Alex, obviously. And so at that point in time, to win the championship at Ojibwe was virtually a very, very far away thought. So I jokingly said, well, if we win the championship this weekend, I'll do a shoey with you, thinking that there's no that way that would happen. And then Barry doesn't do the race. Brandon crashes at testing and can't do the rally. And all of a sudden we're down to Ken and us. So if we beat Ken and Alex, we win the championship. So I in my mind, I was thinking, I don't think Travis heard me say that. So he's getting ready for the shoey and I'm recording him and I'll shoey funny.
You think you can still get away with it at that point?
Yeah. Get up here now. And I'm like, oh crap, he remembered. So I had to do the bloody shoey.
I heard you say that somebody threw a bottle of water at you guys so you can use that.
I don't drink, so he was, I don't know, beer or whatever he had in his boot.
Champagne or whatnot.
Yeah. I take off my boot and I'm like, well, I don't drink, so what are we going to do? And we were joking saying milk. There's no way I would have done milk.
A Shoey is one
no
thing,
one
but
even
putting
had
milk
Coke.
in there. Yeah, that could be bad.
Like, at least if someone had Coke, like, it might have killed some of the germs, but
Yeah.
water didn't do much.
Blah. Yeah. Well, the best thing is just do straight alcohol. So you don't drink. Is that because of personal reasons or religious reasons or just health reasons?
I am a very outgoing, flamboyant, social butterfly. And so when I was at university at, 18, you go off to study to be a PE teacher and whatever. I was always the life of the party, but, I could also drive all my friends home. So it was one of those things where I like to be in control, and I made a decision that I can have as much fun without drinking, and then I can still drive myself home at the end of the day, and any of my friends that might need, so
That's
I
right.
just never needed it in my life because I was always just so easigoing and happy without it. So
You really don't. If you can not have it, the best way is to not have it. It's just straight poison. It's really not good for you. And it's always good to have not only, a championship grade co-driver, but somebody to drive you home when everyone's drunk and having fun.
I always can drive Trav home, so he's set.
There you go. That's pretty cool. So this brings me to my next, subject, which is, it's a true fear of mine. Like sitting on the passenger seat, you just said you're like somewhat of, wanting to be in control. For me, it's extremely stressful to be, of course, let's say on the back of a motorcycle, but even sitting with somebody on the right side of the car, given that I'm an enthusiast, right? Not even for everyone, but let's say just motorsport enthusiasts, that you're driving with somebody who's not. And, that's kind of scary. Like you don't have any control over the pedals or the steering, and you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm strapping here for the ride, roller coaster. Who knows if we're going to make it from A to B or what. So how do you get over that? And then not only over that initial fear of being in the passenger seat, but going 100 miles an hour in the dirt, in the snow,
Yeah, the snow and ice is the scariest, that's for sure. Especially being raised in Australia where you just don't do that sort of racing, you know what I mean? But I guess because I was just raised in a motorsport crazy family, we were always flat out on our dirt bikes or our little, as we call it in Australia, bush bomb cars that we raced around our farm. And would hit a big pole that's holding the fence up, and you break your nose on the steer. Well, I didn't, my brother did. And so I just think we always had that craziness in us, so we didn't really develop a fear of speed or going fast, or, we'd always jump in passenger with dad in his rally car or things like that. So from a young age, I didn't, rallying to me wasn't something to be fearful of, even if you were a passenger. It was something that gave me a great thrill and a great joy. And I guess from my perspective, like, because, I've always been doing that, I've never really got scared. So, people might watch some videos and like I'm going towards trees and Travis is like, oh, this is going to hurt. And I'm saying F, F, F. But that's more like, you're going to hit trees at 100 miles per hour. Like, good luck to someone who, can handle that without going F.
Right. No, I totally get it. And I can't believe it doesn't get worse than just a couple Fs. But it's extremely scary. And I just can't imagine being in that position and still functioning on such a high level. Maybe actually thinking about it now, it could maybe help, when you're so focused on what your job is that you're not so maybe focused on, oh my God, I'm going to die, I'm going to die.
I think too, like, preparation for me is so important. Like, I can't even explain how much work I put into every race. So for me, at the end of the day, like, I know I've done all the homework. I know I've marked up all my notes. I know I've done everything I possibly can to make Travis and I safe out there. So if I do happen to make a mistake, which, look, it happens, you know what I mean? Travis makes mistakes. I make mistakes. We're only human. And we know the consequences. In our sport, it could be death. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I guess in any sport like this, whether Travis might be doing something crazy on his dirt bike or we're out rallying or whatever, every time we're doing these things, even though people from the outside probably looking like this is crazy, this is dangerous, a lot of time they don't realize how much work and preparation has gone into that before you even put yourself in that position where, you could lose your life. You know what I mean? And if you do, it's because you've really made a bad mistake or something like that. In my case, yes, I'm putting my hands in a driver's, like my life in a driver's hands. So like whether it's Travis or my brother or whoever I get in with, yes, I'm trusting them. But at the same time, in my career, I've sat with, 30 different drivers or something crazy. I only ever put myself in a position where I feel comfortable with that person I'm getting in with. So, I have nearly died in 2009. Serious accident, broke both femurs in 2 spots, so bleeding internally.
During a race?
In total, in a rally in the Australian Rally Championship with my brother Brendan. So my legs were broken in 9 places. I was trapped in the rally car 2.5 hours. They had to get me out in a helicopter, all those sort of things. That day I shouldn't have survived, and I did. And most people would have quit after that, because when you have a situation where you have to learn to walk again and, you've nearly lost your life and all those sort of things, for most people that's enough. But, for me, I just got back to it and I learned to walk again. And 6 months later, I was back in a rally car. So I just think it's the same as, all the people that do Nitro Circus and all these different things. Like, if it's your passion and that's what you want to do, even though there's so much fear and possibility of crazy things happening, you just want to get back out there.
Right. It's a part of the sport. And there's just no turning somebody away from it. If he's a nut, he's a nut. And apparently you and the family are all nuts too. So yes. So clearly you grew accustomed to, that level of adrenaline, speed, and just, staying calm under these type of conditions from a young age. So going, faster and with even more wacky drivers like your recent ones, maybe that wasn't such a big, difference anymore, because you've been doing it for such a long time. You've learned to, trust the drivers and know who they are. So how do you gain trust in a driver, because of course all you know about them is their record. Let's say you never drove with them before. How do you go from, someone that you've seen on TV or read about or looked at their stats to getting in the car with them and feeling okay? Is there a process that would be a normal procedure where a co-driver kind of starts, mingling with a driver? Obviously, you don't just jump into the car for your first recce and race, right?
No, for sure. That's a good question you asked, because obviously with our training business, we line up, a lot of drivers and co-drivers and things like that. So Alex and I have a lot of processes we go through when a driver contacts us. One of the main things we like to do is ask the driver that they come and train with us with our business. So we can teach them, even though the co-driver's job isn't to write pace notes, with all our experience, we know so much about pace noting that, a lot of people in a national championship, we can teach them a lot. So usually we request that they come and do Australian Pro pace note training, so you get to know them more and things like that. And then after that, if we feel good about the way they've progressed in the training and how they're writing notes, then we start to look at their car. We won't get in a rally car without halo seats. They protect us from obviously side impacts. So that's something that we just refuse to get in a car without. So that's the next thing. And we, need to check if we're happy with their seat mounts, their roll cage, all of those sort of things. Even though there's requirements and in tech it's all checked, at the end of the day, we personally have high standards of what we require from a car. So we go through all that process, and obviously we look at their stats, like you said, and decide after those several steps whether they're someone we want to sit with or not. There have been people that we haven't sat with because we didn't feel comfortable, and that's just because at the end of the day your life is at stake. So why would you be stupid and get in with someone that you don't really know and you don't feel good about the situation? So when you ask that question, it applies to any student we have, or, you know, anyone we work with. We ask them to do that same process where, you know, they ask for some onboards to watch, and they ask about their notes, and they ask about the safety of the car and all those sort of things. So if anyone that's listening to your program is thinking about getting into rally, you know, one of the first things you'll do, you might get on the Facebook page for North American Rally, and it's like, oh, I need a co-driver. Okay, well, that's fantastic, but how do you become a co-driver? Well, you need to come and train with Alex and I, learn to be a co-driver first before you even put your hand up, because there's so many things you need to do, you know,
right.
before you actually get in a rally car. So anyone at any level, you know, needs to do the same process as we do as far as deciding who to get in with, that's for sure.
Yeah. Would you recommend drivers actually go through that training as a part of their ability to not only, you know, coexist with co-drivers and make sure that, you know, they do the job the way it needs to be done, but also just to enrich their knowledge? Is that something that people do?
Yeah, 100%. So any new driver we suggest, because I mean, at the end of the day, if I asked you to explain to me how would your pace notes look, you know, you start saying, oh, this and that and whatever, and then Alex and I might straight away say, okay, so you're telling us you would use left 3, for example, to describe a corner angle. And then straight away we say, well, why are you not using 3 left? And most people are like, I don't know, it's just what I play on the video game or something like that. So straight away we pose that question, and commonly that's the answer we get, you know what I mean? And we're like, well, what is your system? And they'll say 1 to 6. Oh, why is it a 1 to 6 system? That's the video game, you know? So
exactly.
That's quite a common thing. Whereas the thing with pace noting, there's so many, you know, things to think about of how to make you go faster. So if you hear the number first, that dictates your speed. Mm-hmm. So if you hear a 3 left, if you hear the 3 first, you've already heard that before the left. The most important thing is the 3. If it's left or right, in all honesty, unless there's a crest and we're coming down, we can usually see if it's left or right. But we don't know if it's a 6, a 3, a 2, a 1, whatever. So
right. How bad of a left is what's important.
Exactly. So it's just interesting because straight away that's something. We've just finished training Leah Block, Ken Block's 15-year-old daughter.
That's Ken I was going to ask you. That's cool.
Ken and
Starting
Travis
young,
come
just
from
like you.
Ken and Travis come from the older school of rallying in America, where you were handed Jemba notes, and Ken and Travis just stuck with that system. So it's 1 to 6, it's direction first. So if you ever watch their onboard, you hear lots of similarities with the two of them. But if you ask the two of them if they were able to start again, if American Rally had to let you do 2-pass recce then and all the work we're allowed to do now, which you're able to do in the World Championship and things like that, those boys both feel like they would have done number first because of the fact that you think if you're just going down a forest road and you're hitting 3s and 4s and 2s and whatever, and you can see the road, you could get away with it. It's just the crests that change it. So, you know, they both understand that, you know, the importance of that. So when we started training Ken's daughter, Leah's obviously always watched her dad's onboards and hears, you know, left 6 and then right 3 versus hearing 3 right. And we said to Leah, we spoke to her about this whole concept we're talking about now. And she's like, yeah, I need to hear number first. And now Lucy, Ken's wife, has actually changed to number first as well. So Ken's the only one doing direction. We've changed his whole family, but him. So, but yeah, so it's just interesting to, you know, for a driver to come and work with us first, and they start even less words. Too many people are saying don't cut. Why are you saying don't cut when you just need to be saying don't? If you say don't cut, the last word you hear is cut, you're more likely to cut. You know what I mean? So
that's a good point.
All you need to hear is 3 left don't, not 3 left don't cut. And the driver's like, oh, cut. Oh crap, I just
There's only one thing you shouldn't do, and that's cutting.
So it's so many things to think about that, you know, we teach in our training that, you know, some people have done 100 rallies and they'll come and train with us. And we're like, why are you saying so many words to explain that one little thing that could be this word? And they're like, oh, I'm never
used
even
to
thought
it.
of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how everybody used to do it. Well, that's how we all learn stuff. We go from the first, you know, baseline, and take it from there. And then you guys just took it to the next level. And like you said before, you guys have very high standards, you and Alex, which is the reason why you're driving or co-driving for both of the craziest drivers, at least in the known world that I'm aware of. There's a lot of crazy people, crazy drivers, crazy good drivers. But Travis and Ken are both notoriously known for being hooligans. So that's pretty cool that you guys got to do that. Which also it brings me to another question. In order to win the ARA, you had to specifically and directly beat your husband, Alex, and of course Ken Block. So does this cause any domestic issues, or was there any calls in your area for that?
Well, luckily when Alex and I met, we were both professional co-drivers. So when we got into this relationship back in 2012, it was very known what both of us did. And in all honesty, we both come from relationships where, they weren't really interested in what we were doing, and we were away a lot traveling for our racing and stuff. So, when Alex and I started dating, we realized that both of us were always going to fully understand, how it worked. If one's had a crash, the other one knows what you've gone through, all those sort of things. Right. That, it's really hard to explain when you get home and you're going through the motions of what's happened and the person doesn't understand. It can be quite a difficult time, So even though, I'm sure it's been hard for Alex this year that I've won the championship, and he's currently coming second, which is still great. But, don't worry, him and Ken will be trying to beat us next year, that's for sure. So
I'm not worried.
Yeah. We both work really hard. We both push each other. We both have taught each other things that we've become better at. Alex has taught me things. I've taught him things. So our relationship has actually made us better co-drivers, because you put two professional co-drivers together and then you put two heads together and you say, oh, well, I do it this way. And then you're like, oh, that way's better. Like, I'm going to do it that way. You know what I mean? And or I'm going to do recce this way because it cuts off 30 minutes. And then, oh, well, I think this way. And so you can discuss ideas and things. But at the same time, we never discuss race strategy or anything like that. That's 100% confidential. We don't stay together at events. We stay separate. When we're at an event, it's fully focused on the race. So Alex is staying with his team, and Ken, even if we're at the same hotel, we are never staying together, because obviously race week is both trying to beat each other and both, putting the best foot forward. So that's really important to show our drivers that even though we're husband and wife, there's no, I don't know what, like pillow talk as far as, what tires we're going to be running or what our strategy is for the event or anything like that. So one of the most common questions is like, oh, what happens when you go to bed at night at the rallies? And I'm like, no, we don't stay together at the rallies. Like, Alex is there as a co-driver. I'm there as a co-driver. We're not there as husband and wife. So you're there to work, and
you have to focus on your profession. Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So you didn't tell Ken and Alex what kind of tires you were using at the rally?
No
snitching.
It's quite fun. It's quite funny because the top four cars between us and Brandon Samanek, if people haven't heard, he's the mountain biker that just won the Red Bull Rampage. He's our teammate, excellent rally driver too. Barry McKenna won last year's ARA Championship, and then Ken Blocks. There's been four really fast guys this year. It's been fantastic. So the four of us will arrive to the start of a stage control, and co-drivers are usually doing the tire pressures, and the drivers are like, giving each other crap and all that sort of stuff. And it's quite funny because at that point, that's when you're walking along and, oh, what tires, like, did Ken go on the softs or is he on the mediums, or, and you're trying to work it out. And most of us are scratching off what we've got on, so you can't tell what they're running. And then we get to the end of the stage, and Travis and I might have won by 10 seconds, for example, and Ken will come up and he's like, what compounds have you got on? Are they soft or medium? Or, because all of a sudden, like, have we taken a big chunk out because our tires were the right choice, or were we just faster because our notes were better? Or, the drivers are trying to work out,
figure out what was it.
Exactly. So there's lots of fun and banter goes on. And as most people know Ken and Travis have been racing for so long. So they were even teammates years ago, and now they're back to that sort of same position. So there's always lots of fun going on.
That is super fun. Yeah. Well, the answer should be always just figure it out yourself. I don't know what kind of tire we were using. That's good.
Exactly.
So what makes a good co-driver? That's a question I'm very interested in, because you guys teach exactly this. And you see a lot of people, and you're selling out classes. You've seen, I don't know, hundreds of people co-driving, maybe some of them under your training, some of them as colleagues. What is a good co-driver? How can you see one? What kind of traits of personality and attitude does he have to have, he or she?
Yeah, I mean, the number one is they need to have really good preparation skills. So they
have to be a woman.
Yeah. There's not many, as you see in our sport, there's, I don't know, maybe a fifth, maybe a sixth female co-drivers, and hardly any female drivers.
I'm seeing a tsunami coming, though, because, clearly you're going to lead the wave and just show them that that's the way to go. Don't get those male co-drivers anymore. They don't know how to prepare. Don't pay attention to detail.
So, yeah. And I mean, so preparation, but I always say to people, you need to be able to multitask. Like, multitasking is one of the biggest things in my job. We get to the end of the stage, I'm handing out my time card to the guys at the control there to get my time for the stage. I'm putting away my pace notes. I'm getting out my road book. Travis is asking what time we did. He's also asking, we're sitting at a T-junction. He's saying, are we going right or left? He's saying, how long to the next stage? He's saying, how many? And all in this time, I'm having to do the little things in my office at the same time. You know what I mean? In the stage, you might be going along and you're calling a note, and you've got a pencil in your hand as well. And you're flying along in the stage, you're doing 100 miles per hour. And he's like, oh, add a don't there. Oh, add a stay in there. Add this. And so you're having to multitask of, I've got to still call the notes. And, at Olympus last year, they made I don't even know what you call it. It had a windscreen wiper and a handle on it, and our window's fogging up. So I'm having to unfog that, try and call the notes. And
all at the same time.
That was insane.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, that's another more widely known woman trait, to be able to multitask. Because men are just like watching TV and, talk to them for 3 minutes and they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when we train people, we're like, okay, now you need to have processes and you need to have set ways you do things. So you get to the end of the stage, you put your pace notes away, you get out your road book, which is your directions to the next stage. Right. You get your time card. Like, there has to be certain processes and things. But so many people, they'll train with us and we can see they're on board because they've still got the camera going. They get to that stop control. The co-driver's still holding the pace notes. They're like, that's right, I have to give my time card here. So they're trying to find their time card. They finally get it out. Then they still haven't put their pace notes away and got their road book out. Then they're sitting there and the driver's like, so they've got their time card back and they're like, okay, do we turn right or left here? Oh, wait, I've got to get that book out. So
yeah, you got to get your stuff together and ready. And that's what you learned to do with you guys at Aussie Rally, right?
Yeah. All the little things that I guess you usually learn when you're making mistakes on the way. So we try and teach it just to make it easy. And we tell people, just think of that as your office. You know what I mean? So your co-driver bag has to be set up in a way that it's organized and you can get anything quickly out of it. You need to make sure that your foot plate's in the right place. So you're comfortable, because you need to be comfortable in your office. You need to make sure you can reach everything, So we call it the office because it is our office, you know what I mean? But so many people have a disorganized office and it just means that they can't do their job very well. So I definitely think that organization, preparation, and multitasking are the three things that I look for in a good co-driver. Right.
Yeah, that all makes sense. But so Aussie Rally, is that because of Aussie or because of Aussie Rally Wheels? Because they're both a thing in your profession.
So it's called Oz Rally Pro, and yes, Oz comes from Australia being Oz.
Okay.
So we started it in December 2013. When I lived in Australia, so at our farm in Australia, at my family farm, we have a 1.8 kilometre test road for rally. And so my brother and I used to do a lot of training with people in Australia. No business name or anything, just people would contact us. Oh, Brendo, can you give me driver training? Rhianon, can you give me co-driver training?
Right.
So we would do that, and people would pay us to do it and whatever. So then when I moved to America, I said to Alex, oh, I'm really missing my school teaching, because obviously I turned pro co-driver in 2010. But because I was still doing some training with my brother, I was still able to, do it. So I said to Alex, I'd really like to start a training company here. And he was like, I'm not training people. I don't know how to train people. He's never done it. He hasn't taught. I'm fully trained teacher. In Victoria, in my state I grew up in 2005, I won Teacher of the Year for my whole state. Like, it was my thing, you know what I mean?
You're a natural.
So poor Alex, I throw him in under the bus. Like, well, we're starting a business and we'll name it after my country, Oz Rally Pro. You get no say in this. I love you, but we're not calling it Italian Rally Pro.
That's great.
And so, we got the logo design from that point and whatever. And our first student was actually Nick Roberts, which ended up being the driver I worked with in 2014 and 15 American championships. So Nick and I ended on lots of overall podiums. We got some seconds and thirds. We never won one because we were in SP class. We weren't in the open class. So at that point, it was really David Higgins on his own. There wasn't much competition for him. So us in the super production class, we could, easy be on the overall podium a lot. So it was pretty cool that our first ever student I went on to do another, I think it was 14 or 15 rallies with. So it was pretty cool.
Wow, that's amazing. All right. So the question that all the dirt bike psychos are wanting me to ask, what is it to, how does it feel to sit in the car with Travis Pastrana, who's I don't even know how to describe him. First I've ever heard of him is when this documentary about his life came out, 199 Lives. Have you ever watched that?
Oh, that's good.
Quite a whack. And you really understand what you're dealing with there. And it's
I forgot about that show actually.
Yeah, it was
I
a
need
good
to
one.
watch it again.
Yeah, for anybody who never watched it, it's definitely a good place to start if you're trying to figure out who this person is, because not so straight in the head. Yeah.
It must have been filmed quite a few years ago now, because he was pretty young.
Yeah, it was definitely
maybe 2000 or something.
I thought it was in the 90s, but somewhere around that time, early on. And he was just kind of like making it big in the X Games, and they were kind of like doing the from childhood racing to that point, which definitely tells a story of his personality. And naturally he got into another fast thing, which was rally cars. And then how does it feel to sit in the car with that guy? Because he's not your ordinary guy. He's not your classic rally car driver. He's not anything ordinary, really. He's Travis, So what can you tell us about being in a car with that guy? Because that sounds terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
I mean, Travis to me now is like another brother, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how we treat each other. Like, we give each other crap. We're very hard on each other because we're both perfectionists. We're both highly competitive. And that's half the reason why we've done 9 rallies together and won 5 of them. Because, we're not afraid to be honest with each other. We're not afraid to, give each other crap when we need to, or, work as late as we need to work and run on little sleep if we need to, because we both will do that. We were both, raised, being competitive in whatever we did. And so it just means that we've really gelled well together because, when I get to a rally, my focus is just to win a rally, and Travis is the same. So at the end of the day, it's not like he's dealing with someone that, isn't going to work as hard or harder than him, So when people often say, like, I would never get in a rally car with him. And in all honesty, look, I've got a cage around me. Imagine getting on a bike with him. Now that to me sounds scary.
Yeah, well, that's a complete no-go. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, for me, I got in the car with him at Ojibwe testing last year. That was our first time in a rally car together. We'd known each other for many years, obviously racing around each other and whatever in rally, and you know, we'd always talk to each other and things like that, but not anything more than someone you raced against. So Ojibwe was always going to be an interesting event and learning to see, you know, I had in my mind I was getting with someone Colin McRae style, you know, very flamboyant, Scando flicks, all that sort of stuff. And we went down the first test road and he drove really smoothly and there wasn't crazy things going on. And, you know, there was work we could do on the notes to make the notes better. And so we did our first run and we discussed things and we made things better. And, you know, in my mind, I guess I was a bit like you. I was thinking, what is this going to be like? You know,
right. You don't know what to expect.
He's just fantastic. Like, and one thing we have worked on is, yes, he did tend to drive a little bit maybe too flamboyant or aggressive, I guess you'd say. So we would always be using all of the road that's available to us, which is fine, but is it the fastest? So we've had to work on things in our notes and think Travis's driving style and stuff to make sure that we are driving the fastest line, because at the end of the day, we can't win rallies by just being that flamboyant, fun rally driver. Right. We have to win rallies by being the driver that's taking the cleanest, fastest line and the best notes to allow him to do that. So to be honest, in 9 rallies, 1 crash, that's really not bad at all, considering the speeds we're traveling at. Like, I don't know if people have watched any of our onboards, but these Subarus, they're insanely fast. I'm talking about, we're beating R5 cars by 6-7 minutes a rally. So who knows if Travis back-to-back a world rally car on the Subaru, how much different they are, I don't know. With the new aero on them and the engine upgrades, it wouldn't be much different. So, you know, when you're in that type of car compared to back when he was in, you know, the early years and more Group N, a lot slower and stuff, there was a lot of mistakes he made and a lot of crashes, and you know, that's part of learning. That happens to anyone, but you can't do that in these cars because we're going so fast that the mistakes that you can make can be really critical. So
you can't afford it anymore.
Correct. So it's just been one of those things that we've just had to make sure that we take mistakes out, and we focus on what's important, which is the clean race line versus what looks best for the spectators.
Right. Yeah, well, he knows that part pretty good, and clearly he's a natural, motorsport anything. You know, if it has a wheel or a handlebar, it doesn't matter. But you'd say that the experience you've brought from a lifelong, rally family, and also, you know, your entire professional career, you were able to I wouldn't say tone it down, but shape it in a way that was more efficient, cleaner, and like you said, just overall faster. You would say you brought that to the equation when you and Travis kind of paired up?
Yeah, I mean, he's been very lovely in the words he's said. At the end of Ojibwe, he said, this is all on her. Like, she taught me so many things in such a short time. Like, at the end of the day, I'm an unknown name to many people, if that makes sense, when you're talking in comparison to Travis Pastrana. But when I got in the car with Travis Pastrana, I'd done double the amount of rallies he had. So
right.
Even though he had won 5 national championships and I hadn't won any, for me, that was a lot of, because I hadn't had a chance to just focus on that. I was traveling around the world doing things in the Scottish Rally Championship, the Australian, the New Zealand, the Asia Pacific, the World Rally Championship, like things all over, developing my career and not necessarily just always focusing on one championship. So while I was off developing my career, Travis has been more set in racing in America. He done some world stuff back in, I think it was like 2008 and 9 or something, but he's focused here. So whereas for me, I learned so much just traveling around the world, working with different drivers, different cars, all those sort of things. So, you know, we may be talking about a word in our pace notes and he may say that this word isn't working for me anymore. Ree, do you have an idea of, and I'd be like, well, this driver I worked with tried this, or this one tried that. And he's like, oh, I like that. So all of a sudden, when he's processing at speed and we're coming down, he's processing something that's got less syllables, it's an easier word to understand, and he's not having to think as much. And that's so important in our sport. So, you know, there's been, obviously Travis is brilliant. I mean, he's, in my mind, possibly the best motorsport, you know, athlete in the world, because he's done NASCAR, he's done his motocross stuff, he's done rally, he's done so many things, you know what I mean? So, you know, not many people have done what Travis has as far as the broad spectrum of motorsport.
Right.
So getting in with him was incredible for me, because, you know, it's someone that we all look up to. So to think that then I could, you know, I never treated him like, oh, this is Travis. I just was like, okay, I need to teach him these things, you know what I mean? Or I need to show him this. Like, so I think that's why it's worked, because he felt like I was in there to just make us go better and win, not, oh my God, I'm co-driving for Travis Pastrana. Like, so.
No time for that.
No time for that, you know what I mean? Even though inside I might have been like, this is cool.
Yeah, this is crazy what's happening right now. But really, you were preparing all your life. You know, they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And really, to get to where you guys got as far as winning the championship, and who knows what's ahead for you too. It's crazy, but it's based on the foundation of lifelong preparation and hard work and failures and mistakes, you know, learned from. So, you know, it's always nice to see that, like, tip of the iceberg where people kind of like say, oh, look at this, you know, they did it. But what was the work that led up to that point on both your ends? But specifically, you know, since we're talking about you, the amount of work sitting with so many drivers and flipping cars and getting into accidents and learning what to do and what not to do. It's years and years and years just to get to that one moment in time of maybe sometime, you know, winning a championship per se. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, so many people on my Instagram or Facebook are like, oh, you're so lucky. And it drives me crazy because...
Lucky, yeah, that's cool.
They don't... Yeah, lucky, you know, and to me, you know, there is no luck in it. Like, so I always find that hard, and I have to make sure I don't get too grumpy about it.
Aggressive,
because at the end of the day, obviously, in my opinion, luck isn't involved at all. I started this in 2005. I've had broken legs. I've had burns. I've traveled the world. I've sat with countless different people. You know, I've been through most experiences you could possibly as a co-driver, which then led to this amazing achievement of winning an American championship this year with Travis. But I'm 40 years old. You know, I'm not a 22-year-old co-driver that's just got into the sport and, oh, wow, I won a championship. Like, this has taken a lot of sacrifices. I don't have children. You know, I left my family in Australia and I live here in America, which I think is amazing, especially during these COVID times, because we just got on with life and poor Australia's been locked down and all that sort of stuff. My poor family I haven't seen in 2 years, and they're always like, we want to move to America. Like, so, but like, it's just been like,
there's no luck.
Like you say, yeah, there is no luck, and it's just, you know, been years of hard work. And at the end of the day, people just always need to remember that if you set yourself a dream, you know, it doesn't just happen overnight. You know, a dream can take most of your life to achieve, but you know, not everyone ever reaches their dreams because they give up too early. You know what I mean? Like, if you had told me that when I was 40 years old, I would win my first national championship when I started and I was 24, I'd be like, what? It's going to take me 16, 17 years? Like,
luckily you really like what you do, so you were going to do it anyway.
Yeah. So I think for young kids, they've just got to realize that if you've got a dream or you've got a goal or something, that sometimes it's going to take half your life. You know what I mean? Like,
that's right. You better like what you do. But yeah, my
exactly.
my polite way of replying to people that are talking about luck or saying something like you're lucky or he's lucky is always, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, buddy. It's not like a factor that, you know, somebody kind of cast a spell and everything just kind of worked out. It's usually someone put a very, very big amount of effort that is invisible to you for you to see that moment in time of them, rising above. So with all the respect, fellas, relax with the luck, okay?
Exactly. Or the best comment Alex and I have read is, why is Ken Block's co-driver's wife sitting with Travis? And like, we were like,
that's good.
okay, so do they just think that like Ken and Travis caught up and Ken was like, oh yeah, my co-driver's wife's here, you want to put her in the car? Like,
Yeah.
It was just, when we
good.
read it, we were just laughing, and I'm like, Alex, do I need to write something under this? And he's like, just leave it.
Just leave
I was
it.
like, yeah, okay, I'll just leave.
Yeah. Well, we still live in somewhat of a patriarchy, so we're trying to fix it. So next week, you guys are competing in Oregon. Is it next week? The 5th, right?
Yep, next week.
Whew.
Yep, next week.
It's coming up fast.
Yeah.
Are you preparing?
Yeah, I've been busy preparing. The event has just released the maps and the itinerary and things like that, which is actually quite late. So for this little OCD co-driver over here, that's been a little bit stressful, let's just say. There's 18 stages in total and 8 different stages. So obviously that means some of them are repeated or some are done 3 times. And Travis has done this rally, I think 5 or 6 times. So we were able to find 6 of the stages from previous years and videos and onboards. So how it works is I contact his old co-driver who is actually in the UK. He scans the files of the notes, emails them to me, and then I write them into my own handwriting. I watch them against the video. Then when I'm happy with them, and if I think there's anything needs to be changed, then I scan the notes and send them to Travis, and then I record my voice calling the notes to the video, and he checks it. And then we arrive to Oregon next week, and we'll have 6 stages of notes that we've done work on at home, and then we'll have 2 stages of notes that we're going to have to write from scratch. So on Recce, it actually makes our job a lot easier because 6 of the stages will be just 2 passes of him, making them better, checking them over, and then the other 2 will be writing from scratch, where first pass he tells me what to write down, second pass I call it back, he makes changes, and then any other passes obviously have to be done on video. So it's good to have that much knowledge from previous years because it just means that we go into the event with, a really good base to start with, which really helps.
I can imagine. So these preparations that you make, you'd say on average, how long and for how long do you dedicate, let's say in hours before a race to start preparing before you even arrive at site?
Oh man, it's countless hours. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever you can do. So I might watch a stage twice and I check it, and then I'm like, oh, I've got a 30 minutes available up my sleeve. I'm gonna watch stage 3 again. You know what I mean? Like,
in case I missed something.
To be the best.
Right.
Yeah, to be the best, it's like if you have any available time, you're not just chilling out watching something on Netflix.
Right.
No,
you gotta
be
sure. But at the same time, when you're watching Recce or somebody already driving the stage, your eyes open, you can't blink, and you're looking for every single possible detail you can extract out of that. I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that obviously once you get all the information, your time is all spent on that. So this week I'm pretty busy I had to do a prize draw for a Subaru dealership that I'd committed to with them. I've got some podcasts, I've got some interviews and things going on. But it just means I just need to, and I know those things, so I just organize myself around them. A lot of people, I guess, think that this is my full-time job as well as training with Oz Rally Pro. So they probably think that, this little co-driver just has a sleep in every day and she gets up. But my alarm goes off. I go out to my home gym. I do my workout in the morning, which is usually an hour long. And then my day starts. And I usually have a plan for every day of how it's going to work. So, today starting the gym, and then I had to go to the post office and mail out the prizes that people had won. And then I needed to finish off some work for Travis and shoot him an email about some information for the rally. So I sort of give, when it's full on rally time and season, I give myself a set, just like if you're at a normal job, you know, if you're in an office job or something like that and you have set tasks, I just do the same for me each day, so that then it means you don't get to the end of the day and you're like, oh, I didn't really get much done today.
Yeah.
So
no, you gotta stay disciplined if you want to be at the top of your league, and where you guys got as an individual as well. You have to be as disciplined as possible, and it helps to have OCD in this case. It could help, you know what I mean?
True.
Yeah, it could be good to be a little OCD when it comes to these level of detail oriented tasks, and God knows in these type of things you want every detail covered. If it was a rock on the road even. So I'm sure Travis is lucky to have you, and he's happy. So you guys probably going to be ready very soon. Is Skippy ready?
Skippy, everyone always thinks he's saying, come on, Skippy, to me.
Yeah. So I've heard.
So, oh, right, that's the car name. You know. So it was so funny when I got in the car with him at Ojubo last year, and he's like, we've got to name the car. And I'm like, oh, okay, we've got to name the car. And he told me some interesting names that previous cars were called, which were like stripper names. I can't even remember. It was just whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, we can't really have a name like that when I'm in the car with you. And he's like, no, let's call it Skippy. And I was like, okay.
Hey.
And it's pretty appropriate because Travis likes to jump. So
Yeah, it's more than skipping. I think for you guys, it's more like rocketry, you know, kind of like trajectory, SpaceX style.
Exactly.
But cool. All right, last question. Just to for the romantics to close on. You happen to be married to, the best co-driver. No, you're the best co-driver in the world. So you're married to the second best.
You got that right. Good.
Yeah. We know who wears the pants in the house, guys. Come on. No, Alex is amazing, and you guys happen to do the same thing. And for two of the wackiest peoples, that I know as far as motorsport enthusiasts, and of course public figures, Travis and Ken, how come you guys cross paths? I mean, outside the obvious that you guys are co-drivers in rally.
Oh, well, we'd actually crossed paths many times, but you're just busy doing your job. We worked out that 2008 we were both doing the World Championship in New Zealand, and we think we'd both broken down on the same stage or something crazy, and we were probably only 200 meters apart, and we didn't even know. And then we've found interesting things, like in Ken's workshop there's a picture on the wall, and it's Alex, Ken, my brother, and I all at a signing at where was it? It was at Rally Australia, the World Rally Championship in Australia in 2011, and we're sitting there, we're talking and whatever, and you don't think anything of it. You're all there racing sort of thing. And then come 2012, Alex asked me if I'd like to go out for dinner.
He made the moves, put the moves on you.
Yeah. After one of the rallies, of course, we had to finish the rally first. And so we finished the rally and we went out for dinner. I was living in Australia, he lived in America, but we were both doing the World Rally Championship. So it then become, I guess, a long distance relationship. We'd see each other at races, but we were both racing there. So it was like, stay longer after the event or whatever. Right. But then we got to the end of 2012 and we realized that this was really difficult if we really wanted to make a go of it. So Alex was full-time for Ken. He was Ken's general manager and his co-driver. So it was pretty obvious that it was a better idea for me to move to America than it was for him to move to Australia. Or even being based in Europe. Alex is Italian. So America was the best place for us as far as opportunities with our co-driving and things like that. So, I moved here and we got married in 2013, and we have a great life here in Idaho. We get to do what we love of our rallying, and he's away at the moment busy working, and I'm here. And then sometimes one of us is home and sometimes we're both gone for weeks on end, but we just shut up. We close our house and off we go, and we might be on the road for 8 weeks and see each other 3 of the weeks or something crazy, but we love what we do and we love our life, and it's all worked out great, to be honest.
That's cool. So who takes care of the kiddies when you guys are gone?
So they're farm kitties.
Oh, they know how to handle
very
themselves.
They live outdoors. They have a little cat door into the garage now, so it's been a little bit of an issue because they're now like, oh, this is warm and cozy. We'll just stay in here, instead of being out catching the mice.
Right.
So no, they
got a
the
kitty
longest
door.
we've left them. So yeah, we've left them 2 weeks, and we got home and they were still fat and still wanted cuddles, and we realized pretty quickly they were perfectly fine. So we live on 40 acres. They've got a pretty good life here. They do what they want to do.
They catch what they need to catch, and they go hang out on the couch after that.
Exactly. So we don't have any mice anymore, so it solved the problem.
There you go. That's a good way to do it. Cool. Do you think you're going to pursue WRC and stuff like that? Is that in your radar, or we don't even think about that right now?
No, I've been asked recently. There's obviously a lot of co-driving shuffling going on in the WRC, and some of those co-drivers are English-speaking co-drivers and English notes. So obviously it's something that, my name gets brought up and I get asked for my CV or if I'm interested. And to be honest, before I got in with Travis, I would have jumped at it. Like I would have been over in Europe, and Alex fully supports me and I fully support him, and whatever decision we make with our racing is no problem. We don't have kids, because this is our life. So, there's a lot going on at the moment, and before Travis, I would have jumped at it, but I absolutely love my job with Travis. I wouldn't change it for the world. I really enjoy working for Subaru Motorsport USA. It's just a great environment and team to be in, and we've just come off winning the championship. So, there's some opportunities in the WRC right now that maybe won't be there when Travis may not be racing or we're not racing together or something. So some people might say, why wouldn't you jump at an opportunity like that right now? But in this sport, you got to do what makes you happy and where you feel comfortable. And I'm loving my life. I'm loving my opportunity to work with Travis, and I definitely wouldn't change it right now.
Amen to that. No, I totally get it. That's pretty cool. So maybe one day, but right now there's a chapter Subaru, chapter driving with Travis, and you guys are rocking. I think you make an amazing pair, clearly. So I wish you luck on the next week's race. Try not to flip a car, but if you have to, just once. You know what I mean? Because that will leave you enough time to win still, apparently, according to previous experience. Great.
We'll do our best, as long as we don't hit trees. If we hit trees, there's trouble. But, if we can try and keep it on the road, our priority, we'll be going flat out. We want to win. So, if people want to follow it, there's a really cool app now. It's called Rally Safe. We have those trackers in our car, so you can actually see our little car tracking in the stage.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll put a link to that right here. So I was going to ask you, where can we watch you? So outside, Rally what? Safe?
Rally Safe is an Australian company, actually, and they're now in the World Championship as well. And they have an app that you can download. And on that app, if you go into Oregon next week, but you have to wait till the rally's actually on. It won't be there beforehand because they have lots of races going on all over the world.
Right.
And what will happen is you'll find a little stage and it'll show the start and finish, and you'll see all the little numbers and dots racing through. And then at the end of it, you can check the times for each car. So you can look at the times. You can also look at the splits, so you can see where we lost time to Ken or vice versa. So that's really cool. And then if you just want to generally go in and look at our times and things, there's a site that a guy's set up, and it's called Sneak Attack. Mm-hmm. And Sneak Attack now has championship points. It has all the times. It says the average speeds. I think he's an engineer, and he's set up this really cool site for us as far as that's concerned. And then as far as if you want to watch us live, you can come to Oregon and check out all the action.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously social media as far as following Travis or I or Ken's guys do a lot of good updates as we go, and ARA, American Rally Association. So unfortunately, it's not something that's live on TV. Sometimes they'll do live feed, which is cool. But that's just, we'll go round one corner and we're gone.
That's it.
You don't get to
Not a whole lot to film.
So,
right.
Yeah, so check out some of those things and you'll be able to see how we're going.
Definitely. And some inside. I mean, the only thing we really want to watch is the inside footage from the car when you guys are going 1,000,000 miles an hour or flipping. So let us.
Oh, thanks.
As long as it's a safe flip. Land on.
I'll try not to swear.
That's right. No, Skippy will do you guys right as long as you do her right. So
yeah,
I'm sure you guys will do good. No more flipping. Well, cool, Rhi. I appreciate your time so much. I wish you luck next week. You are prepared and the opportunity is there. And that's it. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, let's.